DFR 36. Houston Texans fans invade. Amazing podcast. We were joined by VT, who is 1/3 of the Texans fan battle. They're a podcast. They're on YouTube. Check them out. This was awesome. We had a lot of Texans fans join. Hashtag We Are Texans. Thank you, Texans Nation. This was awesome. Please talk. This is VT. VT,
hey, welcome.
Hey, how's it going? I just jumped in. I hear you're talking about Derek Carr.
Yes, yes. We're talking about his visit with the New York Jets this weekend. Do you have any thoughts on Derek Carr? Where do you want to see him?
I know a lot of Texas fans actually kind of want to see him in Houston. I am not of that mindset. I believe that we have to go pick up our franchise quarterback. We're going to have to try to do it in this draft. I have my preference right now. I believe it's probably going to be Stroud with our new OC. The problem with taking Carr, if you're a Texan, is that he is going to require a 4-year contract at minimum, and that means that you either are overpaying him while we have a franchise quarterback or a potential franchise quarterback sitting on the bench, or that we don't pick up one and we're stuck in QB purgatory. So I'd rather not have him in Houston. But I think that if he's at the Jets or if he's at the Saints, that could be a good place for him. Potentially even Carolina right now with their new staff that they have going on right now. I think Carolina just went from a funny joke to a big threat in just a few weeks with their new coaching staff, frankly.
That's fantastic. Well, first off, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. We have quite a few Texan listeners as well, so it's fantastic that the universe has rewarded us with you. Our first few episodes on the pod, we actually talked a lot of Houston Texans, more so than the mainstream media. And the other part I would also add is the Carolina Panthers are my favorite team. My co-host here he's actually a big diehard Buccaneer fan.
Okay.
So I'm glad that you mentioned that. Like my Panthers, I'm glad we got Frank Reich. I hope that he can get it done. I know he's a top 5, top 10 level coach, but I know that the players really wanted to see Wilkes to stay. So hopefully that doesn't cause a locker room stir, right? But look, your Texans, I'm right there with you. I think Stroud is the can't-miss quarterback. We started off the episode actually with our top 5, and I had Stroud as number 1. I think he is the guaranteed quarterback here.
Yeah, and I would say particularly for our system in particular because Slowick is going to run the Kyle Shanahan offense, and in that style Shanahan offense, I know everyone's always going to be looking for the next Patrick Mahomes, and if they're not the next Patrick Mahomes, they're going to have issues. But with a Shanahan style offense, you don't need to be that Patrick Mahomes. You need to take care of the ball, be able to throw deep, accurate shots when necessary, be a game manager. You're going to run the ball, make sure that you're not trying to play hero ball and just play consistent ball and not hero ball. And that's what I think Stroud can do. And I think that he said personally that he's going to start using his legs more. I don't know if that's doable necessarily now at his stage, but even if not, if he stays that sort of pocket passer role, I think that's very successful with the system that we're setting up with the run first, offense, the way that D'Amico wants to set it up with Damian Pierce there as well. I think we're good. I think we'll be good with CJ Stroud. So I think hopefully they pick him.
Well, VT, thank you so much, man, for jumping on. And I wanted to ask you something too, man. So I kind of trying to gauge where Texans fans' heads are at as a franchise, kind of what they're thinking with everything. And you said something right away that caught me. You said this is where you draft the franchise quarterback. I want to ask you, VT, do you feel like this could be a potential to perhaps even trade down and stockpile a ton of picks to potentially excel the rebuild? Or do you think this is 100% time to draft a quarterback? We got to go now.
I think that you have to take the quarterback now. We've had the worst record in the league in the past 3 years. We've had 7 wins in the past 2. We just fired 2 back-to-back coaches. This is not the time to try to build for the future anymore. This is the time where you start building now. We have the most amount of resources in the league. We have 12 picks, 5 in the top 100. this is the time you build a franchise. And I know that some people, including myself in the beginning, were hesitant with these particular quarterbacks and, was thinking about, Caleb Williams for next year and so forth. But the minute that we took D'Amico Ryans, the minute that we started making the changing, firing Lovie Smith, getting rid of Pep Hamilton, we said to ourselves as a franchise, our time is now. And so it's important that we take the second overall pick, we choose our potential franchise quarterback, we build our rush defense, we get a real X receiver, and we actually start competing instead of just continually looking for the future. That time is over with.
Wow, that is a fantastic answer. I'm glad to see the Texans fans are done with being fed the mediocrity that they've had the last couple of years. It's been rough, right? I mean, you guys have had a very competitive team outside of the previous, couple of years. It hasn't been to the standard of Texan football over the last decade for the most part. I think that's fair to say. I guess another question for you, VT, if you have the time. I just wanted to ask, sir, do you think that there's anything there with Davis Mills, or do you think, because I'm a big Davis Mills guy, I'll tell you, I feel like he's been kind of dealt a bad hand in the sense that he hasn't had a talented roster around him. Do you think that there's any potential that he is going to be able to not even compete? Because if you go ahead and draft a quarterback that high, you know the answer. But do you think he's got any of that NFL starting caliber level of quarterback play?
See, the first season that he came out, he did seem like he had some of that, particularly the Patriots game. And then the last game of that season, the Titans game, where he was down by 3 touchdowns and made it to almost within a field goal. And so that's a type of promise that a lot of the Texans fans thought we were going to see this year. And of course, Pep Hamilton, we know now, was not the truth, right? We thought that he was going to be the OC and he was going to make Mills better. In fact, he made the entire offense worse, not just Mills. Even though we have a great running back, he actually made the entire offense worse. But even with that, even with all the problems that we had on offense, bad receivers, Brandon Cooks basically checked out. The interior O-line was horrible, with Kenyon Green at left guard having one of the worst rookie seasons I can possibly imagine in an interior O-line. Scott Quesenberry, who was center, it should have been illegal for him to play on the football field, frankly. So Davis Mills did have to put up with a lot of stuff, but at the same time, there were a lot of times where there was a clean pocket. There were a lot of times where Nico Collins or someone else was wide open, and he overthrew him by 10 feet. You cannot be missing those type of easy throws over and over and over again and expect that you're going to be getting chances. Now, do I think that he can get a chance a couple years down the road? He's on a rookie deal. He's going to remain our backup quarterback for some time. And then before we make a decision to pay him, he may want to be released, and there may be a mutual decision. He may get an opportunity somewhere else. But here, as far as Houston, he's going to be a backup quarterback. And if he does get that chance somewhere else, hopefully he can improve his mechanics and get rid of his happy feet and be a better quarterback. But that's not going to be with the Texans anymore.
They didn't want you to be able to talk Texans football, man. But look, you're back.
Hey, also, before we get into that, I actually just want to do a good faith due diligence shout out to VT. And VT, I was looking at your page. If you want to go ahead and give a shout out of your podcast on our platform, please do.
Oh, awesome. I appreciate that. Yeah. So we got a podcast called Texans Fan Battle. You can find it on every platform. We're also on YouTube. My co-hosts are Matthew Briggs, Derek Crenshaw. And basically, we talk about Texans football. We have a guest on pretty much every week. Our upcoming guest is Amobi Okaye, who was the former defensive tackle for the Texans. We've had Matt Schaub on the show. We've had Aaron Wilson, John McClain. So we've had if you're into Texans football, we've had a lot of the dudes that you are familiar with on our show.
That's fantastic. We're going to certainly tune into that live stream here pretty soon. And we'd love to have you and your co-host come back on and we can do a mostly predominantly Texans podcast episode. It'd be fantastic.
Sounds great.
Thank you again, VT. We appreciate it, man. And you're incredibly knowledgeable about your team. And what we love and why we wanted to start this is, man, it's hard to be able to talk with other fans, disagree with other fans, and be able to just have great discussions. And there wasn't really a good spot for, a good meetup session. We do this every day with the Daily Football Report. We're just starting out, over the last a month and a half here. But, man, it's been fantastic. We've met a lot of great fans from different fan bases that we never would have discussed awesome ideas with. And we appreciate you taking time out of your day, man, to jump on here with us.
No problem at all. It was cool.
Yes, and we're predominantly a West Coast podcast, right? So thanks for educating us out here on the West Coast about these Texans, man. It's awesome.
No problem at all.
All right. So, Goggin, we have some NFL news here in the sense that Eric Bieniemy headed to Washington. He will be the assistant head coach and the offensive coordinator, so he's getting dual duties here. It's still technically a lateral move. Do you hate this? Do you love this? And is there a deeper reason for why this is happening?
Look, this reminds me of maybe this is the best analogy I can have. And to me, Eric Bieniemy, man, that's like the guy who never leaves his college town. All right, he goes to college and he loves it and he just stays. Right, so that was him in Kansas City. And I think now that he is moving and he's going to the Washington Commanders, this is him taking a job cross country, right? So now you're leaving your college town. And so we'll see if he'll be a big fish in a small pond, right? So that won't be the case here. I think he needed this, all right? You have to take this, and he's taking a job where it's the last place offense, right? So it's one of the least point producing offenses that he's taking over. Let's see what he's made of. Let's see what he's got, and you won't have Patty Mahomes.
Look, I agree. And I want to jump out here kind of with my thoughts on when I heard it, I was almost feeling a little bit irritated because, look, I understand the stigma with Eric Bieniemy is, look, he doesn't call plays, right? That's Andy Reid. It's always been Andy Reid. But, man, you got to give the guy some sort of credit, right? Like, he's not just showing up over there in Kansas City collecting a paycheck. He does a lot for that team. And I've heard rumors that maybe he's not the best interviewer or whatever the case is. But when you have guys that are proving what he's done and doing what he's done, you have to be able to give him a shot. And I understand why this lateral move makes sense. Look, you're going to go do it with a worse supporting staff. That said, you're also getting the title of assistant head coach. That's going on the record there. That's awesome. That's something you can put on there. But at the end of the day, it's still a lateral move. And I'm still very irritated that Eric Bieniemy, after all that he has done, is not able to get one of these head coaching positions inside the NFL. He's well-deserved. He's been waiting for years. I feel like he's been the top head coaching candidate for 3-4 years running, or at least talked about,
Yeah, BT, please share as well, right? You're here. Let's listen.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have a little contradictory opinion here. The problem with Eric Bieniemy, in my opinion, is that he has quite a checkered past, and I won't go into it all unless you guys want me to. But
yeah, please do. Yeah, this is yours.
Okay, well, it started back at his time in Colorado when he was a coach. He was accused of bribing minors with sex, drugs, and alcohol in order to recruit them. It was a big scandal. He wasn't alone. He wasn't alone in it. It's not like he was a ringleader, but he was a part of it. That was part of his rap sheet. And then he had multiple DUIs. He had beat up a firefighter. He had threatened a woman, essentially threatened to rape her. So he's done a lot of things in his past that aren't something that you can necessarily do. And now, given that, having said all that, I think that could honestly be thrown at the wayside if general managers and head coaches thought that he was going to be a superstar. And when you have 16 general managers say no, I think they came to the decision that he's not a superstar. Now, I think he's going to get a shot here in Washington, and let's see what happens. But we also know that Jeff Bezos and Jay-Z are looking to purchase the franchise and will likely gut everyone again after a year. So, I don't know what to expect from Eric Bieniemy. But what I will say is this is just going to be a shot. However, the leaks so far say that they're not going to be drafting a quarterback. They're not necessarily going to be taking a vet. They're going to be sticking with Sam. So the Corral. So I think that he's going to be somewhat handcuffed anyway. So I don't even know how much he's actually going to be to show. And then when the new management comes, it only seems to reason that they're just going to gut everyone from scratch, given the fact that the entire organization has a dark cloud on their shoulder from Snyder with all of the accusations that he has. So I don't necessarily think that this is going to be the stepping stone to Washington. But if he somehow pulls off a miracle, yeah, he's going to get a head coach job if he can pull off a miracle and make that offense look even halfway decent. Then all of his past goes out the window. Because if he can make that happen, then he'll become a head coach, and they'll justify it if he has those qualities.
Wow, VT, you just absolutely blew my mind with that. I was not informed to any of that. So that is incredible. At least now I kind of have a reason for why, he's been passed up on. Because if you look at it just from a resume standpoint, it is hard to see why he wouldn't be given a shot. But when you start to even deep dive into that, first off, I must say, I'm shocked of all franchises. The Texans are that the Commanders are taking a chance on him. With everything they have, with all their own scandals going on. But my goodness, man, that absolutely blew my mind. Goggin, do you want to comment?
Yeah, I'm processing that. Wow. I mean, the thing is, look, I also think he has to stay in Washington because Riverboat Ron, he won't stay too long, right? I think he's on his way out. It seems like he's really I don't know. I think he seems exhausted. Look, I'm a Panthers fan. I love Ron Rivera. I think he's one of the best coaches I've ever seen. In my opinion, I think he's the best Carolina Panther coach of all time. Look, the thing is, I think he's just getting snippy. All right, he can't get a quarterback. He butted heads with Cam Newton a lot, right? And Cam, contrary to what people would say, but he's actually he's a good teammate. All right. And look, it's hard. All right. I think Bieniemy, he'll do well here in Washington. The thing is, it's the toughest division in all of football. So let's see what these Commanders can do. And they've got quarterback problems. Howell won't cut it.
Goggin, I'm going to be honest with you. They are very high on Sam Howell. And if you watch his film, there are some flashes there of something. I actually was deep diving Friday evening, kind of when I heard that it wasn't just a smoke show, and I guess they're really, really invested into Sam Howell. Who knows if that's going to be the case, right? But it does appear that it is so. My goodness, man, there is a lot there. The mobility of Sam Howell, the arm of Sam Howell. There's a lot to like there. And he showed flashes of it this past season when he got the chance to start. Even if you watch the Dallas game highlights, it was very impressive.
Yeah, that's very almost like very Jerry Jones-esque, right? How he didn't want to get rid of Jason Garrett for so many seasons, right? I mean, I feel awful for these Cowboys fans who've been so loyal, especially since the 90s, right? I mean, look, I'm 30. I'll be 30 coming up. And I can't remember the Cowboys ever being great, right? They had moments with Romo. And again, as a kid, all I remember is Bledsoe and Vinny Testaverde, right? But come on, it is what it is, right? I think ultimately you're right. The Colts and Jeff Saturday, it was a funny story. Look, it's actually maybe the first segment we had on our TikTok from a few weeks back, a long time ago. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. And let's get back into this Mahomes or Brady, right? I'll let you go first. Look, I think you and I are actually going to agree on this. We don't agree on too many things, but this might be the one thing.
Yeah, man. Look, so I saw that comment from Adrian, and honestly, Adrian, I'm going to be real with you. I could watch Mahomes win 4 more Super Bowls in his entire run. He's never going to compare to the Brady level. And I'll just tell you why, man. Look, I'm biased. Brady's my all-time favorite player. I think he was the greatest of all time. We can even look at it from decades. I think he's had 3 potential greatest of all time careers if you're just looking at decades, 2010 to 2020, before 2010. It's just incredible what that man has done over the longevity. Mahomes is going to be in the top 5 when he's done, top 4, however you want to go about it, whether it's your Mount Rushmore or not. His talent level is just absolutely insane. And he's got 2 rings. He could have potentially had a third, obviously, if they were able to beat Tampa, but you're dealing with Tampa at home in a home Super Bowl. It just wasn't meant to be, right? So, yeah, he's got a lot of time left to win some. He can definitely win another. I don't think that would shock anybody. Their team is going to be the exact same, except maybe slightly improved heading into next year. So they've got a window. I think it's really going to depend on when Andy Reid finally hangs it up. And if Andy Reid wants to hang it up, that will change their team dynamic a little bit. If they get a good replacement in there, maybe it just keeps rolling, but it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, VT, did you want to comment on that one as well?
Yeah. So it's interesting because the biggest thing, the biggest reason why Tom Brady has the career he has is because of his longevity. And what is really going to determine whether or not Mahomes can meet this is really more about how long he can stay in the league. And he's had ankle injuries, he's had other injuries before, and really what matters is, can he play into essentially his late 30s, potentially even early 40s? If he can, then yeah, he's got a shot. But that's not what I'm going to predict given his play style. It's not like he's a running quarterback, but he does obviously use his legs, and it would be a miracle, and it was a miracle for Brady to last this long, but it would be a miracle for him to last as long with the way that he plays. And really, at the end of the day, I'm not talking about his quality of play. I'm talking about the longevity of play. And I find it very hard to believe that there will be another quarterback in my lifetime that will be able to play as long as Brady has played.
Agreed. I mean, I think Brady's longevity, right? It comes down to this. I don't think Mahomes will be able to have 3 Hall of Fame level careers within one career, and it's that simple. It kind of comes down to that. And Mahomes, let's remember, he's in the AFC. This AFC will be stacked for at least 7 to 10 years to come. So just getting to the Super Bowl is going to be his biggest obstacle, and he's been fortunate to have the 1 seed. Right, so that won't always be the case.
Right, and and as you said, I do think he'll win. 1 or 2 more. They had a lot of rookies on defense this year, and so they should be even better. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're in the hunt next year. So that I can see. But when we're talking about getting to the level of Tom Brady, that's, like I said before, it's all about longevity. I forget who made this comment, so I wish I could give him credit. I forget which show it is on, but he made the comment that Tom Brady wasn't necessarily the best regular season quarterback. He wasn't the best postseason quarterback. He wasn't the best Super Bowl quarterback. Joe Montana was essentially the best Super Bowl quarterback, never giving up an interception. You have Peyton Manning being the best regular season quarterback. So at the end of the day, again, this is not to diminish Brady's career. He's obviously the GOAT, but the point is that it's his time that he was able to spend in the NFL that has led to his incredible career. And again, without trying to sound like a broken record, it would be amazing to have someone to have that sort of longevity. I don't know what sort of fountain of youth he found, but I don't think any of the quarterbacks are going to be able to find it.
It's funny, VT, that you say that. That's a perfect description of Tom Brady. I don't know if you can look at Tom Brady and say like, yo, he's the best at blank, right? Like, that's not where Brady shines. He's obviously not the most mobile. He's not the best passer. He's not the fastest. He's not, like you said, best regular season, best postseason. He seriously, though, his best trait is that he has the it factor. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. And in the biggest moments, he typically always shows up. And I guess that's kind of where it is, because you're spot on with your description of it. He was never the best in any of those categories, but he's still considered the GOAT by the majority of football fans.
Yeah, and he was one of the best ever, actually, at
deflating balls, right?
Oh, get over it.
I'm kidding. I couldn't resist, all right? And he was the best at, marrying supermodels and what else he did, right? He did a lot.
Look, man, yes, you're 100%. But and you know what? Shout out to I can't say anything bad about him. I was definitely in favor of him retiring at this point. I think I watched every snap of his this season, as a lot of us did, being a Bucs fan, and it wasn't the same Tom Brady. I know the numbers don't necessarily indicate that, but we weren't putting up points. And yes, you can blame the offense, but our offensive coordinator was the exact same, give or take a year. So pretty rough year overall for him, and I think it was the right decision to retire. He still won a division on his way out, regardless if it was a losing record, and he still went out playing in the playoffs.
Okay. I got to interject. This is for you and for VT, and for any of our listeners, please comment. All right, this is my question. I love this. Will he be back? All right, because he did this last year.
No, man, he's not. He's done. He knows he's done. I think that's what it is. Like, he doesn't want to come back if it's just going to be what he had on the field this past time. I'm just being honest with you. And if his alternative was going to the Raiders or going to, what was the other option that was truly out there that was being discussed?
Well, at one point it was San Francisco, but it was San Francisco, Miami. Those were the options. But I agree with you that he's not coming back. Adam Schefter reported that he actually filled out the official paperwork. So I don't think he's coming back. Funny enough, both Matt Schaub and J.J. Watt made comments about saying like they didn't know that they needed to fill out paperwork, but they promised that they're not coming back. But yeah, so I don't think he's coming back this time. And personally, for me, I honestly would have hoped that he actually would have left right after he won the Super Bowl, because to me, that's the ending of the Super Bowl story. If we want to, buy into this whole meme for a second and the jokes about scripts, that would have been the best script. If I know there's some crazy people that kind of still believe that, but if the NFL wanted to end on a Disney story, that would have been it. Not having the next 2 years of not great Brady. I had to throw that in there.
Yeah, absolutely, VT. Well, look, I believe we were actually just we had a request to speak. DJ Amazings, how are you doing, sir?
Yeah, did you accept his request? Before you scared him off.
Well, look, man.
No, I'm kidding. He's here. I just think you have to accept it, or you have to invite him to speak. If you want to give me co-host or however, I can help out.
There we go. I think you can speak now.
All right, perfect. DJ Amazing, hello.
What's good, Joe?
Hey, DJ, how's it going?
Hey, man, it's a good day. It's a damn good day. I had a good Mardi Gras DJ. I was actually, for the first time, I was DJing on the what they call that damn shit you could ride on, but it's like it's all through the street. What you call them things?
You were
a float?
Yeah, that's what it was. I'm still high and drunk a little bit. Yeah, I was on the float. I was DJing on the float. I've never done that before.
That's fantastic, man. That's fantastic.
Sounds pretty cool. How fast was it going? Like 3 miles per hour?
Yeah, I threw a lot of beads and seen a lot of They got wait. I mean, be respectful. Yeah, ain't nothing but guys in here. I saw a lot of breasts today, more than what I should have.
Oh man, DJ Amazing, man. What you got going on, man? I see your profile, man. I'm gonna assume you're a Texans fan.
All the way 100%. I had on my I couldn't wear my Texas jacket because I'm part of a trail ride group, but I wanted to wear it, but I couldn't wear it because I had to, wear our logos and shit. So, but other than that, it was a damn good day, man. Damn good day.
Man, are you hyped up? Are you feeling good, man? Having the amount of draft picks you have in this upcoming.
I'm gonna be at the draft. Round? I'm gonna be at the draft early, nice and early.
Oh man! All right, VT, you gotta let him know about your podcast. Let's plug it.
Oh
together.
Yeah, he knows. So me, DJ know each other. He knows about Texas Fan Battle. But
he's supposed to come on my podcast. I'm supposed to come on his podcast, but me and him never sat down and done a date yet.
We'll get it done.
Hey guys, we can host. It's all good. We'll host.
Hey, I gotta ask you, man. So, DJ Amazing, man, what are we feeling though, man? You're gonna be there? I was actually at the draft this past year here in
I was
Vegas.
there too, front row. I was there.
Oh man,
I met the
okay,
owner.
okay.
I met who else I met? I met the running back. I met number 91. What's his name? Um, damn, he got like the long hair. Number 91.
Oh, I'd have to think about it. He was announcing the pick, right?
Yes.
Oh man, give me a minute. I should be able to figure this out.
I met him, the owner. I met our running back that was there. Lopez was there. He was there. Lopez was there.
Very, very nice, man. Very nice. Wait, so you were up, you know how Vegas was doing it? They were kind of rotating the fan groups in as each pick was read. You were up there at the front, huh?
I was very front row on the second seat to the right. It's on my Instagram and my this page is on here. It's on my Twitter page.
Oh my goodness, man. I love that a lot. That was a fun spot to be in, man. I was kind of in the Buccaneer version, man. I was over in that little Buckaholics group. If you saw us over there getting rowdy.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I hope they do it again this year the same way. I mean, I've already told my rep as soon as they start handing out, season ticket holders get first dibs. There, so I'm trying to get front row again. I'm gonna try to grab 4 seats because my homeboy and his girlfriend want to come. So, and they're Colts fans. Well, one of them is a Colts fan, one of them is a Texas fan.
Well, it's going to be a meaningful draft, man.
Wait, you've actually met Colts fans?
Yeah, my best friend is a Colts fan. My homeboy, my best friend, he's a Colts fan. But you know what? It's hard to say because you say these days he's considering. He said he's considering switching over. That's his word. He's considering switching over.
I don't want to throw my co-host Goggin under the bus here, but I've heard that phrase before. I don't know if he wants to defend himself on that one, but man,
no comment.
But I am feeling Bryce Young though. I'm a Bryce Young guy. I want Bryce Young.
And do you think that's going to be? Do you think that's going to be achievable at the number 2 spot?
This is going to sound cheesy, and I know a lot of people have already said it, but I really believe he's going to be the next Patrick Mahomes.
Wow. Okay. So that's a fantastic take. I don't know. I don't know. Look, I can't lie to you, man. We did top 5 rankings of NFL rookie quarterbacks, and I believe Goggin and I both did. We both had him as our 3rd favorite quarterback on the board, but we were kind of being a little controversial with it, man, in terms of, rating some.
So who do you got
sleepers.
picked? I know who V got picked, but who do you got picked for your pick?
So in terms of who we had on our list here, I went ahead. So for mine, my favorite draft pick, and this is a lot of potential, Anthony Richardson. I understand he's got a very, 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 very big bust potential, but my goodness, man, the athleticism, the arm. I'm telling you, he's also not anywhere near where we're going to see him in his prime. I haven't seen the best of him yet, and I just think if he can keep developing, very, very big chance he's going to be similar to maybe a Cam Newton level. He's got very similar talent to like even Josh Allen in a lot of ways. I'm pretty big on Anthony Richardson. Goggin, who did you have for your number 1?
I thought for me it was Stroud. CJ Stroud, look, good size. Can throw any pass, played in cold weather. I felt like he had the resume there. And he almost took out Georgia, right? And Georgia has been unstoppable the past couple of years. So that was my number 1.
Definitely a little bit controversial and compared to some others. Obviously, Anthony Richardson, a lot of potential. And then with, CJ Stroud, a ton of potential there too. But, man, if you get your franchise quarterback, though, in Bryce Young, that would be pretty fantastic for the franchise. You guys are still going to obviously have more draft picks in the draft. So it's going to be a full night of drafting for you guys. Rebuilding through it is going to be awesome.
Well, this is my pick in order. If I had a chance to do it my way, I would pick Bryce. If these are my 3 quarterbacks, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and Will Levis. Those are my 3. I'm happy with any 3 of those guys.
And then do you think that you think that the second first-round pick that you guys have, are you comfortable picking there again, or do you see if there's somebody willing to offer you a bundle of picks for it? And then
no. I'm keeping that pick, and I'm going to get me a top receiver to help out my quarterback. Then I'm going offensive line.
I love this, man. I love this. Very, very good, man. Very prepared. You know what your team needs, man.
Yes. Also, VT, we got to hear your Texans perspective, who you want them taking. Well, actually, you mentioned that earlier. But if you can give us your top 5 quarterbacks in this draft class. All right, it's okay. You can go. I think VT. Actually, VT, go for it.
There we go.
Sorry, I got booted out as I was
No
trying
worries.
to unmute myself. I just wanted to say, because of your question, whether we would trade down or pick at that position. So right now, I don't think that can completely be answered because the combine isn't obviously not over. I think what it really depends on is how the board starts to fall after the combine. I think that D'Amico and Nick are going to look at the options, and they're not going to look at straight up, let's just get a receiver right here, or let's get an edge player here. They're going to go BPA, but they obviously have needs. And, whether it's a Van Ness, say, for example, it's a Van Ness, or say if it's JMS, a center, or an edge, or if they want to get Chris's guy who's down there, Zay Jones, they may see that they could get him later on, 18, 19, 20, and they may trade down, but it all depends on what these combine numbers are going to be. If Jalen Hyatt runs a 4.2 or 4.3, which is, some of the predictions that could change, I believe that we will trade down only if we can get a pretty much like a 3 or 4 range of players that they realize, you can get any of these 4 players. Then we'll trade down. And then I can see, because that's what Nick has done in the past. Like he did that last
So you
year.
don't want Zay Flowers?
Well, it's not that I don't want Zay Flowers. It's that I don't think that there's not necessarily can't miss targets. Like I'm sure that obviously, well, I'm just sure. I'm 100% sure that my board is 100% different from Nick and D'Amico's. But I do also have to imagine that being in the fact that we have a lot of pieces to rebuild, they're not married to any number one pieces. Like for example, on my board, I would have JMS there, the center.
Well, who? I forgot who you wanted for quarterback. I know it wasn't Bryce Young. You wanted CJ, right?
Yeah, CJ Stroud would be my quarterback in this draft, and then
if you don't mind me asking, I've been studying tape on both of these guys, and to be true, if we just being totally honest, them two damn near are mirrored with each other. Except I'm gonna say, throwing the long ball is a little bit. That's the only difference is throwing the long ball.
Yes.
Yeah, CJ Stroud definitely has a better, deeper ball. The differences are that Bryce Young, and if you take away the Georgia game for a moment, when you're comparing both quarterbacks, Bryce Young looks a little more elusive. The thing is, when CJ in that Georgia game used his legs, and he showed how he was evading pressure in a way that he hasn't shown in the previous year. And so that shocked a lot of people. And that performance really, I think, set him a little bit differently than people viewed him prior to that game. So he also believes, like he actually said publicly during, media row or whatever you want to call it, reporters row, that he wants to use his legs more. And he said, you saw it during the Georgia game, I can do it more. And not to go off on a soliloquy, but I'll just give you this 2 bits of information that back when he was in high school, his father actually wanted to make him a mobile quarterback, a running quarterback, and his middle school a coach wanted to make him a pocket passer. That's who he believed he would be better. His father unfortunately went away, so he didn't have that influenced him because it started with his father teaching him football, basketball, and so forth. And so his middle school coach got involved and then made him into that pocket passer, and he just grew into that. So that doesn't mean he can't change, but it is rare to someone that hasn't really shown their legs at all up until college to just suddenly showing their legs in the NFL. But I will say, there's a potential there. So when you say the 2 differences, I can understand when you say that they're similar, but you also got to realize that CJ Stroud is 6'3", 220 pounds. So you don't have any of the size concerns of a 5'10", 190-pound quarterback as well. So if you're saying they're similar and you don't have the size concerns, to me, that's almost like just saying CJ's a win.
In your opinion, then, what do you think? And this only because I know you analyze a lot of sports or whatnot. But what do you think Nick and D'Amico is looking at? Like, what do you think they looking at it through their eyes? Only hypothetically, we can't speak for them, but what do you think they're looking for?
I mean, they're looking for an accurate passer. They're looking for someone that's a playmaker. They're looking for someone that's also going to be a good culture fit, someone that they can mold, that's going to fit in their system. I mean, what they're looking for is not necessarily going to be hugely different from what any other GM or quarterback, GM or head coach is looking for. The only difference is that because we're going to use a Shanahan style system, that we don't have to have a real mobile quarterback, because you really don't need a mobile quarterback in this type of system. If you were running, say, the Cliff system, like instead of Bobby Slowick as the OC, we had Cliff Kingsbury, you may have to say that we need a more mobile quarterback in that type of system. But since that's not the case, now you're just looking at, can they read defenses? Can they go through the reads? Can they actually go through their first, second, and third read, or are they a first read quarterback? So what they're looking for is really not different from what any other GM or head coach is looking for.
Wow, guys. Look, that is a very good, very solid breakdown on the differences. I think you guys, DJ Amazing said, he has multiple, 3 quarterbacks that he's content taking. And I feel like the one that we haven't really talked about tonight, and I wonder, VT, I mean, you're so knowledgeable in terms of the quarterbacks. I'm sure DJ Amazing also has reasons for this, but I'm curious because as somebody who I've studied the draft class a little bit, I've kind of given my thoughts on where I view Will Levis at, but I'm curious as to if you guys have thoughts on whether you don't like, would draft, think he can translate. What is it about Will Levis that has him shooting up, draft boards to as high as top, 5 in some areas?
I'll start off there if y'all don't mind. I'll say he's raw, he's undeveloped, underutilized. I'm going to say he's the underdog coming into this draft. That's the best way to really sum it up.
And I'll add to that, and I'll say the reason why he's really shooting up in boards is, one, is that, believe it or not, there's not that many quarterbacks in the draft, right? And there's 9 QB needy teams. So it's really just supply and demand. If you look like the NFC South, right, you guys, every single division in that, every single team in that division wants to upgrade their quarterback position. There's 9 teams. The Jets want to. The Raiders are looking for it. So there's a ton of teams looking for quarterbacks, and there are just not enough quarterbacks to go around. So that means that quarterbacks that necessarily shouldn't be drafted as high are going to be drafted high because supply and demand is what it is. And now I'm not diminishing Will Levis, because I'm actually somewhat of a Will Levis fan. If you watch the LSU game in 2021 where he was bullying people over and just trucking 2-3 dudes, like 500 pounds of weight out of that way just to get another 4 or 5 yards, it's a spectacle. The dude is a hella athlete. He's not as big of an athlete as Anthony Richardson, but the thing is, he does have better mechanics, and he's a better passer than Anthony Richardson, which is why he would be a good choice if you're not thinking that you want to spend 3 years trying to develop a quarterback. He already worked in a pro-style system. So the thing is, if you believe that the issues have been his O-line, which was one of the worst in the country, his receivers, which, yes, they were pretty freaking bad. He also was dealing with a shoulder injury, a finger injury, and a foot injury. And if you believe all of those reasons are why he did not show, he didn't put things on tape that can make him a better quarterback or make him look like a better quarterback, then you take him and say, well, I can have a better receiving group. I can have a better O-line. I can teach him better mechanics. He's already in the pro-style offense. I can work with him. So I don't think Will Levis would be a bad pick, although many Texans fans really have soured to that name. I think that Anthony Richardson, although you spoke about it, he has the highest ceiling in this draft, bar none. It's funny that you mentioned Cam Newton, because I said that, and I said on my last podcast with DJ Bienemy, who's an ESPN reporter, and he looked at me like I had 3 heads. It was a great chat, great guy, but I said that he could be a Cam Newton in 3-4 years because he has that athletic ability. Having said that, he's 3-4 years away from being NFL ready. So he may not see a snap his first year.
No, and if he is seeing a snap, look, I'm going to feel a lot less confident in Richardson's ability to grow, right? Like, I'm looking at him completely as a project. But like you said, the Cam Newton comparison for me is not because they both run the ball and whatever that. My thing is this, look, Cam Newton, to his credit, when he came into the NFL, he came in and still had a lot to work on, but he was so athletically gifted he was able to get by, right? And not only get by, I mean, my God, he looked phenomenal. But there's things that he had to fix, which we did see as he progressed through his NFL career and, eventually went on to win the MVP, all that. But what I will say, too, man, and with this Cam Newton comparison, it's more so just it's a confident in the fact that when this guy runs with the football, he's looking to run through you. He's looking to go ahead and go and get the yardage. And there's some stuff there that you do kind of want to not have in the pros, but there's a lot to like. And so the Anthony Richardson, Cam Newton comparison, I've seen a few other people say that too without me realizing that I've seen that before. It's just something that seemed very natural in their style of play. And I do hope that he's able to go to a system where he's able to sit and not have to. And I appreciate you breaking down Will Levis to me as well. I think I need to do a little bit more research on him before I give any major takes, because I'll totally be upfront and say that I was not sitting there watching a ton of Kentucky games. So
the other part also I want to add in just before VT talks. Look, let's not forget Cam Newton was so raw when he was young at Florida. He couldn't beat out Tebow. All right. The other part, he had to go to Blinn College. All right. So Cam, when he finally got to the NFL, he was as refined as he could be. I don't think Richardson's there, but it's not to say that he can't get there. Right.
I have a question for you guys. If we doing all this, what do we do with David Mills? What do we do with him with this? I mean, what do you do with him?
If you guys want, look, I'll start. You trade him to Tampa Bay, man. Look, I'm being honest with you, DJ Amazing. I'm a massive Mills fan. We actually talked a little bit earlier with VT. That was one of my first questions that I asked when he jumped on was, what do you do with Davis Mills? And I'll be honest with you, I think there's a lot there. I know he had the injuries in college that really hurt his draft stock. But with you guys, like that first year, really solid for the talent that was around him. Obviously, second year, regression. I think that's fair to say. But I, as a Bucs fan, know how Lovie Smith can kind of ruin an offense. And I'm just being upfront with you. That's from his time when he was the Buccaneers head coach. And I don't know, man. I'm big on him. I would love to see him get an opportunity somewhere. I think, as VT already went into, he's on a rookie contract, and he's definitely going to stay, I believe, with the Texans as a backup because he's reliable and you know what you have in him. But, man, I think there's some value there with some quarterback-needy teams. VT, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to stay here until it's time to pay him, and then we look and seeing if we can get any trade capital for him. And I think that would be a mutual decision because he's going to try to go out and get a new change of scenery. And potentially by then he would be even better developed because he's obviously going to be working with the QB coaches and the new coaches that we have. And there's a possibility that once he leaves the Texans that he could find a starting job, a year or two after he leaves us. His first year, he was actually, I believe, number 2 among all quarterbacks, not just rookie quarterbacks, on red zone accuracy. And as well, he was in the top 5, I believe, on deep ball accuracy, anything over 20 yards. So it's not like this dude was just terrible from the jump. The issue was that we changed Pep into an OC, and that really was a disaster. I mean, that really made a lot of the offense worse. We also put in, obviously, a 15 overall pick at left guard, which you will do when you have him at the 15 overall pick. And he just was terrible, except for about maybe 4 games out of the season. And I already mentioned Scott Quisenberry. And then you had Brandon Cooks that didn't really play like he should have as a wide receiver 1 who actually gave up on the team and just chose not to play because he was mad that he didn't get traded. So there was a lot of things against him. But like I said before, you can't miss throws constantly. You can't overthrow people when you have a clean pocket, when you have a receiver that's wide open and expect to get those same opportunities. And I just think for him, that time for him being a QB1 here as a Texan has passed. But I do hope that when it's ready to pay him, that they mutually part ways and he finds a home and he eventually becomes some sort of starter.
That's again, and I'm glad you said that. Who do you think starting day one for Houston? Because I mean, I don't think it'll be. Don't get me wrong, Bryce Young is ready, or CJ Sharks is ready, but do you think they'll sit and let David Mills start? I mean, what do you think? I mean, he's not going to be ready out the gate.
I mean, we don't know. Right now, we don't know even in terms of health how everything's all looking like. Right? God forbid that we draft the quarterback and something happens in training camp and all that type of stuff. So, to say who's going to start right now, I don't know. I will say this from a marketing and PR standpoint, I bet you the McNairs are going to say put that rookie quarterback out there on day one of opening day, and that will be the push unless there's a huge reason not to. So from a PR standpoint, if we get Bryce or CJ, they will likely start day one, unless there's a huge reason why they can't. That was either going to be injury or we get a really good vet like a Jimmy G or something, and they want to
That's
ease
what
them
I'm saying.
in.
That's another thing. We only got one quarterback on the roster, so who do you think is going to be the veteran? I mean, again, like you said, I don't want David Mills to start. So who do you think they can potentially bring in as a veteran?
Well, I mean,
Like a realistic possibility.
Jimmy G is an option. I don't think Carr is much of an option because I said before you got on that he's going to want a 4-year contract at minimum, and he's going to want to get paid like a starting quarterback. Jimmy G does seem like he's not necessarily doesn't have as much drive to succeed because he pretty much already has a ring, right? Because he was a backup quarterback. So, the thing is he's been trained basically by Belichick and Shanahan, two of the best coaches in history. So he could be a good mentor here. I don't know if that'll happen. But we do know that Shanahan said that he's not staying in San Francisco. So he's an option. We could also be looking at any other of these quarterbacks that are leaving, whether that's Jacoby Brissett. It could be Minshew. Right now the options are open. I would say right now, if I had my priority, it would be Jimmy G because of the systems he's learned. However, I'm not in the room talking to him, and if he's not going to be willing to mentor the new rookie quarterback, then he's not an option.
Wow. Yeah, that's a very, very interesting take there with Jimmy G especially, right? I think that there's kind of a stigma. It's funny, Cuvante actually in the chat just said what I was going to say, where he says, and I know Cuvante, he's a diehard 49ers fan, been one his entire life, fantastic fan. He said that Jimmy G is not a mentor, and I do believe that's kind of the stigma. And I think if you look at Jimmy G kind of his entire career, from the get-go, right? He had Tom Brady, who Tom Brady is no mentor. That was kind of his mentor, right? That was him breaking into the NFL. So if we have to assume he is what he's kind of learned, I wouldn't see any situation why he is, especially with them trying to push him out the door over in San Francisco as well. Maybe he looks at it differently if he comes to a, Texans team or, somewhere else. But I think that stigma is pretty strong on him.
I definitely heard that stigma, but the only reason,
I don't think. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. I'll just say this real quick, which is that I understand that's a stigma. The only reason why I think he may not actually be married to the idea of, hey, I don't want to mentor anybody, is because he's not going to be in San Francisco, and he needs some sort of stopgap in order to get paid like a starting quarterback, and he needs to show that he has more qualities because. If he's going to some place, they want to know that, yes, you can start, or if they draft a franchise quarterback or he's hurt, that he at least has some ability to be in the room because he's injury prone. And so anyone that gets him has to have a damn good backup because he is injury prone himself. So does he have that other skill where he can still be in the QB room? Because if not, his value does drop. So that's why
I know DJ Amazing wants to talk. I just wanted to ask real quick, VT, do you see it being a 1-year deal for Jimmy G wherever he goes? Do you think that's what he's going to want?
I think it's going to be a 1 or 2 year deal, and the reason why I say that is because his next deal is likely a stopgap until his real deal comes into play, and that's why I think that he's okay having a short-term deal because he knows that he's not going to get his value if he just leaves right now.
I would like to have him here in Houston for one. He's Jimmy G. 2, I actually believe in the kid. He took San Francisco damn near to the Super Bowl twice. And like I said, yes, he's injured, but when he's on, he's on. I don't believe he's a stopgap quarterback, as you say. I think we need to give him a long-term deal, and the reason we give him that is because Bryce Young can learn a lot from him because he's a proven quarterback. He has a good background, and I think he can help the quarterback room, let them know what he's seen and what he's been through, and let the young quarterbacks, do their own thing and, come into their own.
But the only reason why that's not realistic is, not the only reason, but the biggest reason is he's going to be willing to take something that's not ideal for 1 year. He's not going to be willing to do that long term. If you're drafting a franchise quarterback, you're not paying your backup $30 million a year plus. You're paying your franchise quarterback $10+ million because you take him in the first round. So it wouldn't make any financial reason to have a rookie quarterback, but have your QB room cost you $40 to $50 million. So there's no way.
Like you said, if something happens to Jimmy G, Bryce Young or CJ Straight, they're ready. They locked and loaded and ready to go.
But you still have to pay him. Whether or not he's hurt or not, you still have to pay him. So it does not make sense to have a QB room that's $40-50 million when you have a first-round rookie quarterback.
Okay, give him the guaranteed money up front. Give him everything on the front end.
But that still hits. I mean, you understand that's still going to hit the cap eventually, right? Like you can pay him the signing bonus so it doesn't hit the cap that year, right? So you're playing cap games. But then the whole point is that if you're saying long-term deal, that's going to hit the cap. So long-term deal means that you're going to have 10, 15, whatever $1 million a year for a long-term deal when you have a rookie quarterback.
So we can't give him a veteran minimum?
No, you think he's gonna accept that? Why would he do that?
Because, like you say, if he's going to be here for 1 year, that's a rental.
No. He is going to get a minimum of $6 to $7 million and likely more for a 1 year deal. There's no way he's going to accept the vet minimum. That's insane.
Who y'all talking about?
Garoppolo? Way more than that.
Hey, C Royal. I just wanted to give a little shout out here. C Royal TV, man. I saw you wanted to speak, man. I gave you speaking abilities, man. Feel free to chime in on whatever you'd like.
Hey,
brother.
How y'all doing, man? Just listening to my fellow Texans giving y'all that good stuff, that good information. But I don't. Garoppolo is not going to look for a stopgap money. Garoppolo's basically, in his mind, has probably already proven himself. I mean, he's been to a Super Bowl. He's been to conference championship games. He's ran a team. He's ran an offense. So I think his next job, he's looking to take over a team. And when you look at the teams that are available, there's teams like the Saints and like the Raiders, and like and I know there might be mismatches in coordination in the coordinators not wanting certain guys, but I mean, if the Jets can't get Aaron Rodgers, right? If Tennessee can't find somebody, if Carolina gets boxed out of the 4 top quarterbacks, if Tampa Bay can't find a quarterback. Those are the type of places that I think Garoppolo goes, not to a Houston team where we're only going to need him for like half a season and then we'll put in another. He's not built like that. He don't like that. He didn't like it when he was in New England. He doesn't like it when he had to sit behind Trey Lance, and I just don't think that's what he's looking for on his end. As far as the Texans, it would be nice to have a guy like that, but if you're drafting number 2 in the draft, I think you're looking to your franchise guy is going to be your franchise guy. Whether he starts the first week or the 6th week, you're not going to go spend a bunch of money on a guy to play 6 weeks out of the year.
Yeah, but like V said, he's injury prone. So don't you think he got to take what he can get?
No, he's not going to just take $6 million. I guarantee you he'll get a $25 million contract. At minimum, 25 million. These quarterbacks are getting $30 and $40 million a year. So at the minimum, just who he is, somebody will sign him to a 3-year, $75 million deal where they can void out the last year just to see what he can do for the first 2. But he's going to require to get some big money, and there's a lot of teams that are going to be feeling left out of the quarterback market. And unfortunately, last year we said that the quarterbacks were going to go high, and they didn't. But this year, I think that teams are going to, get scared that they're not going to be able to get somebody. So somebody's going to trade up to 1. We're going to take somebody. I think somebody even trades up to number 3, because if the Colts don't move up and get the number 1, somebody's going to want to jump in front of the Colts.
Yeah, I see that.
Right, and I think the Cardinals are a prime position to gain more picks in the rebuild that they got going. I think V said it the other day. They need to just start all over.
Well, I actually been hearing Houston is considering trading up for 1. Now, I don't know how true it is, but I've been reading, and I don't know how true it is, but they considering Houston moving up to 1 spot.
I mean, we are mocked to move up. I mean, I hope we don't. But just to answer Chris's question, Chris, I mean, I agree with you. Like, Jimmy, that's what he's going to look for. My whole thing is that, and you're probably right. We probably won't end up being able to get him because there are so many QB needy teams. But my point was that if there's a possibility, because he has a relationship with Slowick, and because he has been hurt quite a bit over the past couple of years,
right,
that there could be a way where he's telling himself essentially, I could go in, I don't have to play a full season. They'll see me put on some really good things on tape. I can come out and get a $40 million contract as opposed to a $25 million contract. So 44-year, $160 million contract versus getting a long-term $100 million 4-year contract. I mean, you have the 1-year stop gap, so you can make that difference in money. Yeah. I think he could make that sort of determination.
What was his contract? What was the deal that he had in the 49ers? Because I remember when he was with New England, he wanted to get out of the shadows of Brady. Right, he wanted his own team. Then he went to San Francisco and got his own team, and then all of a sudden they drafted Trey Lance.
That's right.
And then now I think he's not going to want to come somewhere where he's holding a position for another quarterback. I think he's going to want his own team.
You're right. You're right.
Now, if you say stopgap, a good place for it would be somebody like the Cardinals. Because Tyler Murray,
because Tyler's not playing.
Yeah, he probably shouldn't play for that whole year that he's injured. So that could be a place if he wants to do the stopgap thing. But I think he's going to want to get, you look at Tampa Bay, man. They lost Brady. They still got a decent defense. They got the line was just incredibly unhealthy, and you got a quarterback in Garoppolo that can lead all of those receivers with Evans and all of those guys they got over there. They could offer him a little bit of money because if they don't get a top quarterback, they're stuck. Now, as far as the Texans go, you was trying to say somebody that's familiar with Bobby Slovic. If we lower our standard a little bit for the backup quarterback, maybe somebody like a C.J. Beathard.
Really?
What was the other guy's name that was a backup over there?
I mean, you saw him last year. He was terrible.
What was the other guy's name? Oh, shit. I forgot the other 49ers quarterback.
Is he the one he bounced around for a while?
Yeah. He was at the Jags last year.
Yeah.
Mullins? Yeah.
Nick Mullins.
Who?
Yep.
Nick
yeah,
Mullins,
there
right?
you go. Nick Mullins. Right. And not saying that they're great, not saying that they're home run hitters, but just saying that that's a decent back. Now, that's if you trade Davis Mills. Because if you don't trade Davis Mills, of course, Davis Mills is our backup. And I don't know anybody that'll trade for Davis Mills right now. But if you find a sucker out there that'll take Davis Mills and you can get rid of him for a 4th, 5th, 6th round pick or whatever it is, by all means, get rid of him, get the pick, and then, add to our treasures. But if not, I mean, if you do that, then somebody who's familiar with Bobby Slovic's offense would be good.
Chris, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, C. Royal mentioned something that was fantastic, and that was he mentioned the Buccaneers would be a good spot, and I'm a Buccaneers fan. I just wanted to chime in and say, man, like we're negative $50 million under the cap right now, and from what I understand. I think our options right now consist of probably Jameis Winston once he's cut from the Saints because he's not going to be paid a lot. That's an option. He's actually taking, I believe, about $1 million a year. I could totally be wrong on that number, but they revised that contract, and so he's not getting paid very much. he gets cut, I think his stock's probably gone down since then, right? So my thought process is I think Jameis back to Tampa makes a ton of sense, or somebody like a Gardner Minshew where he's not going to get too much more. But I don't even know if we can afford a Jimmy Garoppolo, and that kind of puts it back into you guys, or maybe Jimmy goes over to New York. But it's one of those. But I like your idea too of like maybe a Nick Mullins or somebody like that to come in and kind of fill the void of the veteran in the locker room.
So you guys are stuck with a $35 million cap hit from Brady.
Yeah, and we had a weird like a way we could have. I think we could have put 15 or 17 million or something on the books for next season, but we just took it. We took it all this year, which is a good thing and a bad thing. Obviously, we're going to be off the books as of this year, but you have to take all that in, and that's going to be a lot.
And y'all don't really have any tradable pieces. Chris Godwin.
The rumor is it's Chris Godwin or Mike Evans is like the big trade piece that we have that would clear up cap space. If we trade Chris Godwin, we save $20 million in cap.
Okay.
So that's a huge piece for us. But do you want to start playing that game, or do you just look? We can cut like Donovan Smith and save I think $10 million right out the gate. He was an awful left tackle for us this season.
Oh yeah.
God, most penalties in the NFL. I mean, I could go on and on about him, but. It's one of those situations. I think as soon as we can get close to being even, I truly think that our options are going to be to try and trade for somebody like a Davis Mills, trade a late round pick for somebody that's cheap,
right?
Or we're just going to start Kyle Trask and then for 1 year just going to pray.
But y'all got like Devin White, y'all can save $11 million on.
Yeah, and it's sad actually. Levante David's likely gone. A lot of my Buck circles that I'm in, they're reporting that he's probably going to be. We have to actually re-sign him, so we just don't have the money to bring him back another year. And so I think there's a very good chance Levante David's out there, which fantastic pickup even at his age for any team.
But it looks like you guys I'm looking at y'all's contracts right now on over the cap. It looks like you guys were really in win mode now, win now mode, should I say.
That's the worst part about, selling. I mean, we got our Super Bowl, so I can never sit here and complain to you. Right? I would trade. I would go 10 years of losing for a Super Bowl. What was that, man?
I said, was it worth it? Do you feel like it's worth it?
1,000%, right? I could sit here and tell you, no, I want it. But come on, like anybody here, if I told you, because I went through, like, the thing is, being a true Bucs fan, I went through 10 years straight of not having any playoff football pretty much my entire teenage years. I mean, I didn't see a single postseason game. I forgot what January football felt like. So I have to be honest with you, man. It's a great feeling. Going all in was fantastic. We still have a very talented roster, but obviously the key piece everybody needs, you guys know it being Texan fans, is quarterback. If you don't have a quarterback, you're not going to go very far. And so we're going to find out now how talented this roster really is if we do end up having to roll with somebody like Kyle Trask. But VT, I'm so sorry, man. What were you going to say before I took over on my Bucs fandom?
Oh, not at all. It's your space, man. No, all I was going to say is about why I wanted a vet so bad, even though I obviously wanted to draft a quarterback at the second overall pick, is because I believe that Davis Mills is here. He's going to be QB2 or QB3 even if we need to be, right? But who's going to mentor that quarterback? Is it just going to be our coaches, Gerard Johnson, Slowick? And if we're doing that, that's fine. But I prefer to have a player that's actually on the field with him that can teach that rookie quarterback a lot of different things. When I listen to interviews of quarterbacks, and they say like, because people have asked, like, why do you need a backup quarterback? Because this is back when Josh McCown was a thing, and I was researching him, listening to all the interviews, and a lot of dudes actually said that they prefer to have someone that actually playing the game, because there's a lot of coaching that goes on that's outside of the building. So they could all be, at a game, not a football game. Maybe they're just like, paintball or something, or they're at a bar and they're talking about something, and it's away from the coaches. But it's a backup quarterback who essentially is an extra coach, who's with the team as a friend, not as a coach, and they talk to them and talk about not simply the X's and O's all the time, but how to handle certain situations. on top of the X's and O's, on top of the system, etc. And that's why I'm more adamant about that. And the other thing is, not only is Davis Mills not a vet, but he also is not very personable. Like we've seen that, right, from his press conference and stuff. How will he connect to another quarterback? Because he does seem like a robot. And so I want someone that's going to be able to connect on some sort of personal level. Especially if we get someone like C.J. Stroud, who's had some, issues in his past and stuff like that. I want someone to be able to be, give him a hug and not be 10 feet away from him, with the handshake. And I, you understand what I'm saying, Chris?
Right.
Like, I want someone that is going to be a man to him, a friend to him, not just someone with the clipboard.
I'm looking at the list, man. The only person I see is Chase Daniels. somebody with some maturity, because everybody else is like, they're also pretty young ass quarterbacks. Maybe somebody like a Teddy Bridgewater. So they got Derek Carr.
Yeah, Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, Derek Carr, Tom Brady.
Well, keep in mind with Teddy, guys, like, I don't know if you guys remember when he went down to Miami, but he came out and pretty much was like, hey, I'm starting. And they were like, wait, what are you talking about? And he had that mentality, but he's kind of got the stigma of not being a great locker room guy. And I don't know how true this is. I'm just going off what I've heard. But like the last thing, you guys would want in your locker room is like that veteran that's not a good influence. And that screams Teddy Bridgewater.
Right. What about like a Mike White?
I would take him, honestly. I mean, I think he'd be cool to be a vet there. That's what I want for that QB, Chris. I really want an actual human being. That sounds so bad.
Well, somebody that you can talk to in the locker room, you can mentor to him, kind of tell him what he's doing bad, what he's doing right.
Exactly.
You guys know who would be a perfect fit for your Texans? I'm just going to throw it out here.
Who?
And I know my co-host Goggin, it's his favorite quarterback in the league. It's Taylor Heineke. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but he's openly come out. He's openly come out and said that he feels like the backup job in him. He's probably the worst quote you can say when you're looking for a starting job. But he said he's content. He said being a backup quarterback is honestly the life. Obviously, you could start him your first 3 weeks. He's won games. He's gotten teams to the playoffs. He's shown he's a very athletic guy. That playbook would be very similar regardless of which quarterback in Stroud or Young that you guys drafted. You could probably keep it very similar for a Heineke. So just something to keep in mind. I think that's a wonderful fit if you guys could get him.
Look, first off, he is the can't-miss quarterback in the NFL, right? Everyone loves Heineke. And I don't know if it's the fact that his last name sounds like Heineken and it gets everyone excited.
For real.
Right? Like, I'm sure that's part of it, right? But the guy, I haven't seen a quarterback that just goes out and plays the game with pure love and pure passion and heart the way Heineke does, right? Like, Heineke, you can tell, should not be on the NFL field, right? He doesn't look like it. Some of his throws are awful, but he still gets wins, and it's almost that Tebow level effect, right, where it doesn't make sense, but the results are there.
Right. He's just a good pro, just a good professional. Other guys like Gardner Minshew, what was this other kid's name? Where is he at? Cooper Rush from Dallas. What do y'all think about somebody like that?
I mean, you don't think they're going to retain him?
They could. I'm just saying he's a undrafted free agent. They could very well retain him.
I mean, if they don't, yeah, I would take it. But I'll tell you, I didn't even think about having Taylor Heineke, to tell you the truth, because I know he's looking for a starting job, and frankly, because it's so QB needy, I just picture that he would get one. But if he doesn't, man, that would be great, because I do agree he would be a great role model / backup QB person to talk to that any rookie quarterback would love to have, in my opinion.
Let's see. So right now he's making $2.3 million, and for some reason they got the calculated market value at $19 million a year. That's kind of high. I doubt he's going to be asking for all that, though.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be asking for that.
Well, hey guys, I just wanted to thank everybody. We are going to be wrapping up the space tonight. We do this; it's actually our podcast. Appreciate you guys, everyone on here. for coming in, talking, whether you just listened or whether you actually commented or talked. Fantastic. This is what we do. We do this actually every night. It's just me and my best friend Gagan. We've been running this pod now just shy of 2 months. We're on, TikTok and YouTube under 4 Scene Sports, the number 4 Scene Sports. We're on Twitter Spaces pretty much every night doing our record for the pod. We polish it up. We post it on Spotify. If you guys have the time, please give us a shout out on Spotify. Review it 5 stars. We appreciate y'all. If you guys ever see us live on here, please feel free to jump in. We record every night. We love the comments. We love talking. If we need to change script on the fly and just have a great discussion with some sports fans, there's nothing wrong with that. And we love all fan bases, man. It's best discussions come from when you're talking with other teams. So we appreciate you all taking time out of your night and joining us on here. So thank you guys, and pleasure meeting all of you guys. And Goggin, do you want to say anything?
Hey, that was fantastic. Honestly, look, guys, we're a West Coast-based pod, so it's fantastic to get some Southern Texan love, right? Like, we love it. And the other part, it also, look, we're from the West Coast where people are not as passionate and just not as flat-out educated of a fan of their teams as you guys down the South, on the East Coast, the Southeast. It's true. The Midwest, like, it is what it is, right? So that was really another motivator behind this podcast, is just to get more coverage out here on the West Coast, right? And getting more opinions as well. So that's been fantastic. I just want to thank you guys. I know it's very late out there. If it's midnight on the West Coast, I can only imagine how late it is out there. So look, it's Sunday. We appreciate it. And please message us with questions. Message us if you want to join anytime. We're here for the fan, by the fan, and we love what we do. So, yeah, we put about 50 hours a week a piece into this on top of our regular jobs. So we're building this out for the long run.
Awesome.
We appreciate you, man. Thanks for having us, brother.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
appreciate you guys bringing me up.
Absolutely, guys. You guys have a wonderful night. And VT, thank you again, man, for starting the discussion up. And, it's all the Texan love. We appreciate y'all. And hopefully we'll be talking with you guys again real soon. Take care, y'all.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, DJ Amazings, everyone. Yeah, appreciate it. NC Royal, everyone, Q, everyone that commented as well.